What is going on, guys? Johnny on the track, back with another new video. And we are obviously in a Cup Series off week. So I already did a video earlier this week. I wanted to do another one here today. And this basically came to be because I basically have in my phone a notes, like a note document that documents every race that I have been to since 2020, because that's kind of when I really started keeping track of this stuff. So every race I've been to since 2020, so that includes the track, that includes the winner. And so with that, I wanted to rank just I didn't want let me rephrase that. I want to grade every track that I have been to. I'm not going to rank them in any particular order, because I've only been to so many. So I think a grading scale is good, just A plus to F. And I hope that when I give kind of some analysis on each one of these tracks, the fan engagement, the kind of location, just the surrounding area, all that stuff that maybe it changes your opinion and possibly gets you to go to a certain track that maybe you haven't been to. And I would love in the comment section below your thoughts on each of these tracks, and also, well, if you've been, and then also a recommendation on somewhere I should go for my next track. I haven't been to Bristol, I haven't been to Talladega, spoiler alert, but I've been to plenty of tracks. So some, not even NASCAR sanctioned, Stafford Speedway, Seekonk Speedway, Thompson Speedway. Um, where else? Blanking on the place in Maine, Oxford Plains. So, I've been to a lot of tracks that are not really NASCAR sanctioned. So I'm just going to tracks that, NASCAR races or has raced at. So let's start with the layup. So I've been to, what is it, four? I've been to four Daytona 500s. I think I've been to four. 23, 24, and 25. So that's it. So three Daytona 500s. Um, Daytona is an A plus. The feeling when you see, if you've never been to Daytona, the feeling when you see Daytona International Speedway for the first time is really unlike anything. I mean, it's on the level of seeing the Coliseum. If you're a NASCAR fan, it's on the level, if you're a NASCAR fan, of seeing, one of those cathedrals in Europe that hasn't been, or, has been around since the 1500s. Castle de San Angelo, if you've ever been to Rome, just like these places where it's just so massive and you kind of get chills, which, it's a little cheesy, a little corny, but if you're a NASCAR fan, and you've never been to Daytona, I really, every time I've been to Daytona International Speedway, there is just nothing like it. The fan engagement outside, all the activities you can do are top tier. I took like a test drive from a stunt driver one time that was spectacular, super fun. You can do a truck ride as well. Obviously, they have the NASCAR racing experience there. If you wanted to sign up for that, they've got the museum there. I think it's just the Daytona Racing Museum or American. I don't know what it is, but there's a museum there. You can some days you can walk right on the track. The track itself is spectacular. The infield is spectacular. You don't have to be a VIP, and you can still buy what's called a track pass, which you really can walk in a lot of places with the track pass. Check out the infield. There's just nothing like Daytona International Speedway. Now, here's what I will say. Well, I'll get into it actually. So the pros of Daytona is the track, how special it is, the event, the fact that when you're in Daytona in February, when you're in Daytona in whenever the second race is, I would say more for the 500, you are surrounded by NASCAR fans, right? NASCAR fans outnumber everybody else there. So it's just a cool atmosphere to be down there, to wear your NASCAR merch, to be around people that love what you love. It's just, I mean, there's really nothing like it. Now, with all that being said, one thing I don't like about Daytona is the city, the beach area. Um, you know, I just it's kind of a dump, quite frankly. I mean, there's really no other way to say it. The beach, the first time I went, the beach was pretty cool. Like you could walk on the beach. The last two times I've been to Daytona, there's like no beach. You can barely walk on it. The water comes right up to the edge of like the boardwalk area. Um, I just, there's a lot of cool bars and restaurants that you can go to, but I just feel like overall the surrounding area in Daytona is just it's not really for me. But the track itself is awesome. Now I am taking some like the surrounding area into account because I do think that can, help or decrease the grading for some. I definitely think it can help for some. But even with that, with me, not loving the city of Daytona, I still give it an A plus. It's awesome. I've flown into Orlando twice, then I flew into Daytona once. Um, the coolest thing is when like the airport is right behind the track, so you can see the planes landing when you're sitting from the stands. Also, you can also when you are landing see the track for a while coming up. It is so cool. It's so cool to see it from like when you're landing when you're up top and making kind of that final descent. So, yeah, A plus for Daytona. The next track I'm going to go to is my home track, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Now I'm a little biased, but I'm going to give New Hampshire Motor Speedway a B minus. Um, I love New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I've been there every year since 2020. I think the fans are spectacular. New England sports fans. I mean, you guys know, right? Red Sox fans, Celtics fans, Patriots fans. We are loud. We are crazy. Now, obviously, if you go to NASCAR down south, it's crazy as well. But New England sports fans are pretty crazy. So it's always fun to be surrounded by New England sports fans who now like have a love and an interest into NASCAR. The track is it's just outside the capital city of Concord, but it's there's not a ton around it. Now, if you do take a trip to New Hampshire, you can stay in Concord, which is a cool little city, and also Lake Winnipesaukee, which is a lot of fun. You could couple like your weekend with going to Lake Winnipesaukee, which is the largest lake, one of the largest lakes in New England. I believe the second largest lake in New England, and the largest lake in New Hampshire. So much to do on Winnipesaukee. There's great bars. You can jet ski. You can rent a boat. You can do all this fun stuff. So Winnipesaukee is not too far. I would say it's about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Um, but the track itself, it's not huge. It's pretty easy to walk from point A to point B. There's only stands from the really like the a quarter of the way, like um past turn four, going to the start finish line. I don't think it goes all the way. And right up into like about turn two. So not like a huge stand like grandstands outside. They don't have a bunch to do, but they have a decent amount to experience if you're a fan. The parking is great. It's super convenient. I think they do a good job of getting you like there's a little tram. I think they do a good job of getting you to the track pretty quickly. And getting you in and out pretty quickly as well. That's one thing. I've been to Richmond, and I'll bring that up. But I think New Hampshire is in a solid like it's a solid area. It's not the best experience overall, but it is my home track. I've been there so many times. The VIP, it's so much obviously, being a VIP, no matter what, is exceptional. They do offer a track pass like Daytona. But there's not a ton you can do with the track pass. And the VIP, like the garage area is only so big at a mile track. So as awesome as it is, because you do get like to really walk wherever you'd like. Um, it's still, it's small, right? It's just a small kind of venue. So I'd put that into effect. But I'd give my home track a B minus. I like New Hampshire. Again, I would advocate if you do ever if you're from down south and make a trip up to Loudon, you can make a nice weekend out of it. Maybe stay in Boston. Boston's about, I would say, like an hour and a half from the track, maybe 2 hours. So not too far. You can couple that weekend, or you could do New Hampshire. You could do Winnipesaukee, which again is a lot of fun. So B minus for New Hampshire. Vegas. Vegas, I've said this on my show a ton of times. I would so recommend doing a NASCAR race in Vegas. Now, it's obviously not the usually not the main show of the weekend. There's so much going on in Vegas, so it's kind of a little bit of an afterthought. If you're wearing NASCAR merch, there's not a ton of people that are going to interact with you. There's two races, so the attendance isn't always like great. I think there's a lot of casual fans, which is totally fine. I mean, it's fun, right? Like it's cool to have a mix, but you're not going to get your diehard crowd at Vegas. But the track, and the location, and you being in Vegas, it's so so cool. It's about, from what I remember, like 30 minutes outside of the actual like strip. Um, but it's in the middle of the desert, which is awesome. Like it's built on I think an Air Force base, which is spectacular. The views there of kind of like the mountains and the desert, and that dry heat. Like I loved that track. I would love to go back. Like walking up, you kind of like walk, from what I remember, you like walk up a hill, and again, just the views, the scenery, you kind of look around and you're like, where am I? How did I get here? And I remember doing that like a couple times where like I just had to like take a second, like pinch myself and be like, this track is spectacular. And obviously the racing is tremendous at Vegas. You can take an Uber and you're in and out pretty quickly. I thought that was pretty nice. So, yeah, I give Vegas, what did I have here? An A minus. I think obviously, like I said, the fan experience maybe isn't top tier. But the location, the track, everything else is spectacular. Racing. I went there for I think it was the very first mile and a half with the next gen car, and it was like the greatest. I think the best race that I've ever seen live. It was a spectacular race. Whenever that was, I think it was 2020. Yeah, 2022, Spring Vegas. So I mean, I think Vegas in the fall is a little warmer. I did it in the spring, and it was probably around 60 degrees. But there's some wind aspect of, again, kind of being in like the mountain area. But yeah, Vegas is I can't recommend that track enough. So Vegas A minus. I'm gonna skip that one for now. Let's go to another mile and a half that I've been to, Kansas. I'm gonna give Kansas a B. Like I kind of went back and forth with B minus and B. I don't know why, but like for some reason, every stadium in Kansas, because I've been to the Royal Stadium, which is the stadium itself is awesome, but the location, like they just put their sporting venues in the middle of nowhere. It's a giant parking lot. That's all it is. That's Arrowhead. That is where, I don't know whatever the name of the Royals Stadium is, which again I went to last year. In Kansas Speedway is the same thing. It's in the middle of nowhere. Now, here's one thing that I loved about Kansas. I think there's only two tracks. There's a casino right on like the backside of the track. It's cool. It's like really 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 cool. The food is good there. Like I remember like getting some of the barbecue stuff, and it was really good. And you're not too far from like the barbecue in general in Kansas City and Kansas. So I just felt like overall, like from what I remember, it was again in the middle of nowhere, where the view wasn't like, it was literally just like no views in the middle of nowhere. I thought that the walking to the track was interesting. There was like this like crabgrass-esque stuff that I remember walking through. God, what the heck is this? I mean, you are in the middle of nowhere. And I'm sure there's plenty of tracks like that, but some that I haven't been to. Um, the pros, I guess, like the racing is tremendous. I mentioned the casino. Um, there's not much to do. Like there's just not much to do. I feel like you go there, you know, maybe have some fun at the casino beforehand, and then you kind of walk right in. Because again, there's just not a ton to do around it, um, at the track itself. But again, the racing is pretty darn good. And it's still a mile and a half and one of the better ones we have on the schedule. So, if you're going to Kansas, I think you're gonna have a great time. It just wasn't my favorite. And again, it's another one that has two races, so the attendance wasn't great. I think I'd take that into a lot of stock. Like if you're there and you know that it's going to be a packed, sold out house of crazy NASCAR fans, like that adds an element. And Kansas, being as good as it is on the schedule with the racing, it's still a location that has two races, and you're just not going to get a sold out crowd. Maybe you'll get three-quarters of the way full there. So I have to take that into account. So I give Kansas a B. I'm going to go back to an A, which is Indy. So I went to Indy, and man, pretty much it's kind of like Daytona, but I feel like I would have given it an A or sorry, an A plus if I went for the Indy 500, which I plan to do at some point. But everything about Indy is spectacular. It's magical. It's another one where you walk by it, you pinch yourself, you have to like just stand and kind of admire it for a second. It is that large. It is that just breathtaking. But again, I have to I weigh everything in here. And I don't know, like it felt like it was like a quarter full for the Brickyard 400 a couple years back when I went. It just the energy and the vibe just wasn't there from a NASCAR standpoint. Now, again, if I went to the 500, I would say A plus. Like the facility, it's spotless. It's easy. As large as it is, it's still easy to get from point A to point B. The golf course that you can look at, I think there's like three or four holes of a golf course in the middle of the track. Now, the viewing experience isn't the best, right? You from where I couldn't see like at Daytona, if you sit up high, you can see the whole track. Indy, that's not the case where I was. There's a lot of seats where you cannot see, you got to use the screen. But even with that, I I just think everything like it's just a magical play. It really is. And the way like that um the kind of I don't even know what they call it to be honest with you, but like the straightaway for the start finish line. I don't know if they call it the tunnel or something, whatever. Um, but there's like two grandstand sections like kind of like facing each other, the big tower, just everything about the facility is amazing. It Daytona and Indy, I mean, you've probably heard it a million times, but I can't recommend those two places enough because if you do just love racing and admire like the kind of architecture that goes into these racetracks and everything about them, the grandstands, the view, the just the massive experience to watch. They're top tier. So Indy for me gets an A. The only and I didn't love Indianapolis. I didn't love the city. I feel like I'm sorry, it might be a recurring theme for me, but I'm going to Charlotte for the 600 in May. I think I'm gonna like Charlotte. I love Boston. I love New York. I don't know. I liked Kansas City. I thought that was a good city. But yeah, I didn't love Indianapolis, but the city meaning A, and it would be an A plus if I went to the 500, which I plan to do. Okay, let's keep going. I got two more. Uh, Lime Rock Park. I don't want to take too much time on this, because it's a facility that right now only supports the Truck Series. But Lime Rock A minus. Lime Rock is that was another one where I was blown away by how cool. Like Lime Rock is in the middle of nowhere, but it's there's no stands. So you go in, you like walk on like what seems to be like a neighborhood like you know street, um in again in the middle of nowhere with like residential houses around there. I remember us like walking down like this narrow street, and there's no stand, so you bring a lawn chair or a beach chair, and you post up, and you can see most of the tracks, only a mile and a half road course. There are amazing places to view from. There's kind of like a middle section where if you sit, you can see the start finish line. You could see the first few turns. There is an iconic, two iconic bridges. So the first one, it's like an old kind of like wood-esque bridge that goes over the start finish line and gets you kind of to the middle of the track where you would be watching from. That was cool and spectacular to walk across that. And then there's the bridge in the back, which is cool as well. It's an iconic view. You can kind of lean over and watch the trucks go right underneath you. Um, like just I had no idea what to expect from Lime Rock because I had seen like IMSA races on TV. And I'm based in New England, as you guys know. I'm from Rhode Island, so it was about like a 2.5 hour, I think, drive for me. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly had like never seen. I've never been to Watkins Glen. Obviously, never been to Sonoma. Obviously, Circuit of the Americas never been to. So it's my only road course experience, really. And it was just a lot of fun, quite frankly, and something that I would recommend. Just like again, you know, maybe not for the truck series if you're not a big truck series person, which is fine. I would go see an IMSA race for the Northeast Classic. Like I would go do that because it's just a cool facility and one that I feel like is super, super underrated. With and it's like a short road course. So, they're only clocking like 40-second lap times as well. So overall, again, that's another one that I can't recommend enough. That was a fun, fun track for me, and I'm going back this year for the truck race as well. So Lime Rock Park, I would give Lime Rock Park an A minus. And the final track that I've been to, NASCAR track, that I saw a Cup Series race at last year, which I'll really never forget, because Ryan Preece was on the pole, Richmond. So I went to Richmond. This is the lowest one on the list. Now I think there are some cool pieces here, but Richmond was a C plus for me. Again, it's in a weird spot, another kind of like neighborhood-esque area. Um, yeah, like kind of residential neighborhoods like right around it, which I always think is a little strange. Um, the the cool part was that it was a night race. So, you start around whatever, like 7, and you kind of watch the sunset as they're going, which is cool. But you could do that at Daytona, and I think it's better, quite frankly. I didn't love the experience at Richmond. I did think the crowd was great, and obviously I'm sure people have been where the crowd has been terrible. But the one night race, I think the crowd was good. Um, the racing is, I mean, it is what it is at Richmond. Like we understand at this point what Richmond brings. But I just like the traffic was abysmal. It took us a long time. We didn't drive, but I know many people that did and were stranded there for a long, long time. We took an Uber, which took a while. We had to like walk miles and miles and miles to get an Uber to that area. Again, like I don't know, the experience, like the parking experience, the tailgate experience didn't seem didn't seem great to me. I know Richmond, I feel like they just kind of have to figure their what out there. So I don't know. I didn't love Richmond. I actually, to be honest with you, and maybe it's just like a homer thing, but I prefer New Hampshire over Richmond. Now I did like the city of Richmond is really cool. I enjoyed going to I stayed, well, I was with a buddy, but we went downtown plenty of times There's good bars, there's good breweries, there's fun stuff to do. There's like a mini golf place that's built in like a old abandoned haunted hotel, which definitely would recommend that. I think it's called Hotel Green, I think it's called. So that was fun. But I don't know. I didn't love the track. I didn't love the experience there. I think a lot of things were kind of overpriced, quite frankly. So I don't know. I didn't love Richmond overall, but I probably would go back because my buddy lives there. So we'll probably go for another race and enjoy it. I mean, I've enjoyed all these tracks. I'm just trying to be fair and stack them up against each other. So I'll go through my list again. Daytona to me is the A plus. New Hampshire Motor Speedway I gave a B minus. Vegas an A minus. Indy an A. Kansas a B minus. Lime Rock an A minus, and Richmond a C plus. But want to know what you guys think. If you've been to some of these locations, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you recommend a track for me to go to, please put that in the comment section down below. I'd be interested to hear what other people's thoughts are about, track experiences they've been to. Because I think this stuff is cool. I think it's unique. I think it's fun to talk about. So put it all in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, goes a long way for the channel. And please, please, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button down below for more NASCAR and motorsports content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.